I'm in St. Cloud, Minnesota in the US. St. Cloud's home to around 70,000 people, and if you include the outlying areas, it's just over 100,000 living in the region. Over the past 5 to 10 years, St. Cloud's become home to over 10,000 Somalis settling in the community. Most of these people have chosen to relocate to St. Cloud after first resettling to other parts of the US. With the increasingly negative rhetoric in the US at the moment around immigrants and Muslims, I'm keen to see how the broader community have responded to the rapidly growing Somali population.
I moved to St. Cloud, Minnesota in December 2011, and pretty much I moved for two reasons. I met the love of my life, my wife here in St. Cloud, and also another reason that I considered when I was moving here is education. St. Cloud has a great university called St. Cloud State University, and education was more affordable than the city I live in. So I considered those two factors when I moved here. Other refugees who live in St. Cloud, there are a lot of opportunities that are available to them, and employment is the primary reason why a lot of Somali refugees moved to St. Cloud. St. Cloud, about 20 years ago, if you are black, nobody would rent an apartment to you, and today there are more than 10,000 Somali Americans refugees or former refugees who live in this city, and they really love it. It's a small town, about 70,000 people live in St. Cloud. The feel of a small town welcomes a lot of families. There's great school system, and most Somali families, people who are family oriented, they love their children and they want their children to get a good education. So for a lot of families, employment was the primary reason why they moved here, but also they stayed here because of the great education and also because of the sense of security that a small community like this provides. There's no gang violence, there's no police shootings and stuff like that. So it's pretty safe neighborhoods. Plus, I don't like the traffic in big cities and the congestion, So this is the feel of a small town, and I think the sense of community, and everything you need is within like 2 or 3 miles. So the hospitals, the restaurants, the clinics, the universities, the school system, everything you need. You don't have to drive 30 minutes or long distances. So when I moved to the United States about 10 years ago, I loved the feel of a big city because I do not have kids. But right now that I'm raising a young family, I really developed a sense of love and a sense of belonging to a small community like St. Cloud.
I lived here for about 6 years now. I made it home. I started my own business. I think the way Somalis, the Somalis who came here early on are very different. They had very different experience than the ones that are coming right now. We had a little bit rough start here when we first started coming. Families were not allowed to rent apartments in St. Cloud. We rarely get jobs here in St. Cloud. But right now, St. Cloud is, we made it home. We live here. A lot of employers accept Somali communities right now. We work almost every field, in every jobs available in St. Cloud. So I think living in St. Cloud is like living home. A lot of people made this their home. So, and I'm proud that I lived in St. Cloud.
We have been welcomed in this community despite the challenges that we face as well. Some of the challenges we face are people who generally don't like outsiders coming into their communities, especially when the number involved is a little bit huge. We're speaking about 10,000 Somalis living in a city that is predominantly white, and I think this area is still 96% white. It used to be an insular community. It's no longer an insular community now. It has changed pretty much. And I believe this is a positive change for the city of St. Cloud and for surrounding areas as well, because we are making investments in the community in terms of starting new businesses, creating jobs. I work for an organization I co-founded. My wife works for a business that was started by another Somali former refugee, and that's true for a lot of people.
People were coming here at the beginning, and then the community who lived here, and I'm talking about the white community who lived in St. Cloud. We were new to them, and they were a little shocked, and they weren't receptive. A lot of them were not receptive to the idea that people are moving to the city. They thought we were taking their resources away. We are, we are bringing a lot of negative to them and all that. And they weren't just comfortable having people who were coming from outside. But people, as people started resettling here, people realized that we are here to stay. We came here, we made this our home, and people started accepting us a little bit. But we also had a lot of conversation going on. We talked to all sides of the community, trying to make them understand and appeal to them our human side, telling them where we came from. A lot of the Somalis came straight from the refugee camps. Actually, all of them lived in a refugee camp. I myself was living in the refugee camp for 18 years. So for me, coming to United States, and every time I talk to people and I tell them that I live in the refugee camp, and now I'm here finishing my master's degree in public administration, having a business that employed 32 people, perspective changes. And they, and my wife also is, my family, my wife is professional. She's a nurse working at the Family Pathing Center, helping families that are having, in their first, babies and all that. So families, when you talk to them, people, couples and families that don't really accept us, and the people that don't accept us, they look at us and see we're just like them. We are going after our dreams and our ambitions, and we just want to live the best life possible, and that's what United States offer, opportunities to really pursue your life and your dreams and your ambitions. And when people hear that perspective from us, they tend to really accept us, and that changed a lot of people's mind. It changed a lot of people's mind. People that never had opportunity to really talk to us and hear our story, and now hearing our story, for them, instead of them hearing from the media, which usually gives a bad negative perspective, negative narrative about us, now we're telling our own narrative, and that helped the Somali communities and the communities that lived here before get to know each other better and accept each other.
So, one thing that we have seen in St. Cloud is people who try to, a small group, very organized, who try to create tension all of the time about refugees coming. And so the government in that regard has to refute some of the conspiracy theories that they put out there, saying, oh, the refugees are coming here because they want to take over your city, or these refugees are coming here because they want to rape your women. And it's conspiracy theory. It's people are coming here because they want to live a life that works for them, that's safe. They want to get along with everyone else, that they are not coming here to present a threat to anyone else. So the government can get ahead of that and make sure that those conspiracy theories are addressed in a timely manner, and that misinformation doesn't get in the way of communities integrating into their new homes and new cities.
There's always a room to improve, right? There's always room that needs improvement. People are still having some landlords are still discriminating people and treating them as they're not nothing in their classes and things like that. They don't respect them, and they don't respect their businesses. There are people that are still, labeling us as a bad people who are here, who came here to really overtake the rest of us. Muslims are still 1% of the population in the United States, but still we're getting all this, negative presses, and that we are really taking over and doing all these things and all that. So I think there's still a room of improvement in that. People still need to really realize that we are human, and we're here to do, and citizens of the United States also have the same responsibility and same rights as anyone else. The other thing that I think that needs work is for the communities who are coming, the immigrant communities, to have a say on the table. They need to be on the tables that are the decisions are made. They need to be not just get accepted in their community, but also become voters, become elected officials themselves, so they can represent the community, because we have a diverse ideas that we can bring it to the table. So there are a lot of things that really need to be changed here in St. Cloud, but I think the difficult job of it really we're really past now. We just have to be sticking around longer.
I just want to say that I live in Minnesota and the United States, and I'm sure you hear about the current political system, but generally speaking, things are much better than the way they look in the media. So we have found wonderful opportunities. I think the greatest opportunity anyone can find is being able to get an education, and we did that, and also starting your own business. I think that's we kind of feel we are self-actualized now.